Shri Radha Madhava ki Jai. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 1, The Advent of Lord Krishna. Text 25. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Vishnur Maya Bhagavati Yaya Samohitam Jagat Adhishta Prabhunam Shena Karyarti Sambhavishyati. Vishnur Maya Bhagavati Yaya Samohitam Jagat Adhishta Prabhunam Shena Karyarti Sambhavishyati. Vishnur Maya Bhagavati Yaya Sammohitam Jagat Adhishta Prabhunam Shena Kariharti Sambhavishyati. Vaishnavis, Vishnu Maya, the potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu. Bhagavati, as good as Bhagavan, and therefore known as Bhagavati. Yaya, by whom? Sammohitam, captivated. Jagat, all the worlds, both material and spiritual. Adhishta, being ordered Prabhuna, by the Master, Amshena, with her different potential factors. Karya Arte, for executing business. Sambhavishyati, would also appear. Translation. So this is Lord Brahma reporting to the demigods after having received the instructions of Kshirodakashaya Vishnu. The potency of the Lord, known as Vishnu Maya, who is as good as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, will also appear with Lord Krishna. This potency, acting in different capacities, captivates all the worlds, both material and spiritual. At the request of our Master, she will appear with her different potencies in order to execute the work of the Lord. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Parasya Shaktir Vividhaiva Shruyate. Svetasvatara Upanishad 6.8. In the Vedas, it is said that the potencies of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are called by different names, such as Yoga Maya and Mahamaya. Ultimately, however, the Lord's potency is one, exactly as electric potency is one, although it can act both to cool and to heat. The Lord's potency acts in both the spiritual and material worlds. In the spiritual world, the Lord's potency works as Yoga Maya. And in the material world, the same potency works as Mahamaya. Exactly as electricity works in both a heater and a cooler. In the material world, this potency working as Mahamaya acts upon the conditioned souls to deprive them more and more of devotional service. It is said, Yaya samohito jiva atmanam trigunatmakam. In the material world, the conditioned soul thinks of himself as a product of triguna, the three modes of material nature. This is the bodily conception of life. Because of associating with the three gunas of the material potency, everyone identifies himself with his body. Someone is thinking that he is a Brahmana, someone a Kshatriya, and someone a Vaishya or Shudra. Actually, however, one is neither a Brahmana, a Kshatriya, a Vaishya, nor a Shudra. One is part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, Mamaivam Shaha. But because of being covered by the material energy, Mahamaya, one identifies himself in these different ways. When the conditioned soul becomes liberated, however, he thinks himself an eternal servant of Krishna. Jivera Swarupahoy Krishner Nitya Das. When he comes to that position, the same potency acting as Yoga Maya increasingly helps him become purified and devote his energy to the service of the Lord. In either case, whether the soul is conditioned or liberated, the Lord is supreme. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 9:10, Mayadhyakshena prakriti suyate sacharacharam. It is by the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead that the material energy Mahamaya works upon the conditioned soul. Prakrite kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvasha ahankara vimudhatma katham iti manyate. Quote, the bewildered spirit soul, under the influence of the three modes of material nature, thinks himself to be the doer of activities which are in actuality carried out by nature. Unquote. Bhagavad Gita 3.27. Within conditioned life, no one has freedom, but because one is bewildered, being subject to the rule of Mahamaya, one foolishly thinks himself independent. Ahankara vimudatma kartam hiti manyate. But when the conditioned soul becomes liberated by executing devotional service, he is given a greater and greater chance to relish a relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead in different transcendental statuses, such as Dasya Rasa, Sakya Rasa, Vatsalya Rasa, and Madhurya Rasa. Thus, the Lord's potency, Vishnu Maya, has two features, Avaranika and Unmukha. When the Lord appeared, his potency came with him and acted in different ways. She acted as Yoga Maya with Yashoda, Devaki, and other intimate relations of the Lord. And she acted in a different way with Kamsa, Shalva, and other Asuras. By the order of Lord Krishna, his potency Yoga Maya came with him, and he exhibited different activities according to the time and circumstances. Karyarte sambhavishati. Yoga Maya acted differently to execute different purposes desired by the Lord, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 9:13. Mahatmanas tu mampartha dhaivim prakritim ashritaha. The Mahatmas who fully surrender to the lotus feet of the Lord are directed by Yoga Maya. Whereas the Duratmas, those who are devoid of devotional service, are directed by Mahamaya. Om Ajnanati Mirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshurumilita Mena Tasmai Shri Guru Namo Om Vishwada Krishna Bestai Budale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Tinamane Namaste Saraswati Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vanshakal Patarubhyascha Kripasindu Vivacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo. Translation again, if you like to repeat. The potency of the Lord, known as Vishnu Maya, who is as good as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, will also appear with Lord Krishna. This potency, acting in different capacities, captivates all the worlds, both material and spiritual. At the request of her master, she will appear with her different potencies in order to execute the work of the Lord. There are some Middle Eastern philosophies. They are known as Zoroastrianism and Manichaeism. They teach that there is God and there is an anti-God, what we could call Maya, illusion, or Satan. There is light and there is darkness. And in this philosophy, these two entities are eternally in competition. And sometimes God becomes predominant, and sometimes illusion, darkness, the material energy becomes predominant. Now, these are philosophies which nowadays they may not be so famous in the world, but throughout the history they influenced the theology of many religions, such as Christianity. This concept of devil as an opponent of God. And at one point these philosophies were quite influential in this world. Manichaeism, it's come from the philosopher Mani, from Persia originally. Nowadays it's called Iran. And this Manichaeism was a big world religion. At one point they had followers from China all the way to Spain. And they had a lot of books, and they had monasteries with monks and nuns. It was the all developed religion. But then it disappeared. All the books disappeared. And we learn about this philosophy only from Augustine, which was a Christian philosopher who had been a follower of Mani in his youth, but then he rejected it. And so he, in some of his books, he attacks Manichaeism. Otherwise, nothing is left. Now, the Bhagavata philosophy is very different. There is no such confrontation. There is no such opposing forces between light and darkness, between God and illusion, or God and the devil. In Bhagavata philosophy, Vasudeva, Krishna, is the master of all energies eternally, and there is no competition. One meaning of Vasudeva is the son of Vasudeva, but another meaning of Vasudeva is the one who resides everywhere in full awareness and full control of all his energies. So this idea that there is a devil or an illusion which is greater than God is completely rejected in the Bhagavata philosophy. Srila Prabhupada quotes here a line from Vyasa's trance, Vyasa's samadhi. He quotes here, Yaya sammohito jiva atmanam trigunatmakam. It's interesting because this line is almost the same as the second line in this verse. Yaya sammohitam jagat. Yaya means by which. We are talking about Vishnu Maya, the energy of Krishna. And sammohita means bewildering. Moha. Moha means delusion, illusion. Here the word by word translates as captivated. So this energy has the capacity of create delusion. And in Vyasa Samadhi, it's explained how this energy is always under the control of Krishna and bewilders the souls. This is a very crucial section of the Srimad Bhagavatam. It is after Narada Muni appears. You all know about Srila Vyasadeva's dissatisfaction, even after compiling all the Vedas and Puranas. He still felt dissatisfied. And so his spiritual master appeared and he instructed, go into samadhi and meditate on Lord Krishna and then describe what you see. Describe it more directly. Because so far you described it quite indirectly. So far you described a lot of fruitive activities. And people will be attached to those fruitive activities but will not understand the essence of knowledge. So there are these 4 verses in chapter 7, text 4, 5, 6, and 7, which is considered to be the essence of the Bhagavatam because it describes what Vyasadeva sees in his samadhi, and what he sees in his samadhi will be expanded, elaborated throughout the 12 cantos of the Bhagavatam. So by knowing this Vyasa's samadhi, one understands the philosophy of the whole Bhagavatam. And in fact, Srila Jiva Goswami spends a lot of time on these 4 verses in his Tattva Sandarbha because he says if you want to understand the Bhagavatam, you need to understand the heart of its speakers. Vyasadeva, Shukadeva Goswami, and Sutta Goswami. So as far as Vyasadeva, this is the heart of Vyasadeva. This is what he sees in his pure samadhi. Bhakti yogena manasi samyak prahanite male apashyat purusham purnam mayam chatadapashrayam. In the full absorption of bhakti, prema, he saw the purusham purnam, the purna purusha, the adi purusha, the original form of God, Krishna. And he also saw Maya, the material energy. In this case, is the material energy or the energy of the Lord in general. Mayam cha tad apashrayam, that is always under the shelter of the Lord. Apashrayam is translated as under full control. So, Vyasadeva saw the Lord and saw his energy, Maya, Tad Apashrayam, which is constantly, eternally under his control. So next verse explains how this Maya deals with the jivas. Yaya samhoito jiva atmanam trigunatmakam paropi manute nartam takritam cha vipadyate. This Maya bewilders the jiva, never the Lord. As a result of this Maya, of this delusion potency, the jiva starts thinking that they are products of material energy. And they start imagining to be part of matter. And they start suffering because it's an incompatible situation. An eternal soul who thinks to be temporary, it's a very, very painful circumstance. So one analogy which is given to explain the relation is like the sun. The sun in the sky is never covered by clouds. The sun is very far, and the clouds in comparison to the sun are very small and very far. The clouds cannot cover the sun. Similarly, Maya, the energy of Krishna, can never cover Krishna. The sun produces the clouds. The sun, by evaporating water from the oceans and other bodies of water, creates the clouds. So Maya It's an energy of the Lord, just like the clouds are an energy of the sun. But the clouds never cover the sun. What the clouds cover is our vision of the sun. We are small human beings walking on this planet, and when there are clouds in the sky, we cannot see the Lord. We cannot see the sun. So these clouds don't cover the sun, but cover our vision of the sun. Similarly, Maya does not cover God, but it covers our vision of God. And we start becoming absorbed. Avidya, asmita, raga, dvesha, abhinivesha. First step is avidya. Avidya. Our vidya becomes covered. Our capacity of seeing reality, our capacity to seeing ourselves is lost. Avidya is covered by ignorance. Then when we are covered by ignorance, we develop a false sense of self, asmita. We think we are the body, we are these bones, we are these muscles. And then, because we identify with this body, a set of raga and vesha are created, a set of attractions and a set of repulsions. If I'm in the body of a cow, I'll feel very attracted to fresh grass. But in the body of a human being, I'm not attracted to fresh grass as food. It's a different set of senses. So raga, attachment, dvesha, dislike, hatred, and then this creates abhinivesha, a complete absorption in matter and fear of death, fear of the temporary nature in this world. So, then the Bhagavatam explains that because the jivas are suffering, and this suffering is superfluous. Superfluous means is not needed. Vyasadeva wrote the Bhagavatam. And through the Bhagavatam, one can know Krishna. It's very clear that is talking about Krishna. Yasyam vai shuyamanayam Krishne paramapurushe. Through absorption in Krishna, through the Bhagavatam, bhaktir utpadyate pumsa. Bhakti is born or manifests. Shoka moha bhayapaha. The lamentation, the illusion, and the fear are extinguished. So these 4 verses of the Bhagavatam, they're so important that when Srila Prabhupada produced his first volume of the set, you know, in India, before moving to the West, Srila Prabhupada produced 3 books. Was the first canto in 3 parts. And in that original Indian Bhagavatam, Srila Prabhupada cut the chapter at verse something like 9 or 10. Generally, you don't do that. You don't produce a book with half a chapter. But for Srila Prabhupada, apparently it was so important to put this section of Vyasa's trance in the first book, which he cut the chapter. And he produced the first book with 6 chapters and 9-10 verses of the 7th chapter. And the second book starts from text 11 or 12 of the 7th chapter. One more example of this Maya that works on 2 different planes, Yoga Maya, Mahamaya, covering the conditioned souls and uncovering the devotees, is found in the 3rd canto. At the very beginning of the 3rd canto, we see the story of Vidura. At one point, Vidura told Dhritarashtra, look, this Duryodhana is useless. It's envious of Krishna, and you are protecting him. So therefore, this is very inauspicious for you and for the kingdom. You need to get rid of this man. He's the ruin of the dynasty. So then Duryodhana reacts in a very angry mood, and he says, who kept this son of a maidservant in the house? Let him be kicked out of the palace. He's actually our enemy. Let him stay only with his breath. In other words, take everything away from him and kick him out of Hastinapura. So in text 16 of the first chapter of third canto, it says, thus being pierced by arrows through his ears and afflicted to the core of his heart, Vidura placed his bow on the door and quit his brother's palace. He was not sorry, for he considered the acts of the external energy to be supreme. And Srila Prabhupada explains, Duryodhana was acting under such influence of the external energy by which he would be vanquished at the ultimate end. He could not accept the sound advice of Vidura. Vidura could see that Duryodhana, under the influence of Maya, the external energy, was making progress on the path towards his own ruination. Yet he also saw how the internal energy of the Lord helped him in the particular situation. In other words, he saw Maya acting in this ambivalent way. For Duryodhana, Maya was bringing forth the destruction of Duryodhana and all those who followed him. But for Vidura, Maya was creating detachment. And in fact, he could leave the palace of Hastinapura, all the intrigues, all the politics, all the hatred, tensions, anxieties, and he could go peacefully, traveling in the holy places of pilgrimage, take darshan of the Lord in different temples, bathe in different holy rivers, holy ponds. So the same energy created this freedom, but created the bondage of Duryodhana. And this is a common example that Srila Prabhupada gives. Just like electric energy, we see electric energy. Sometimes we use the electric energy to relieve ourselves from heat. Like now we have these fans. They are operating by the electric energy. They move the air, and so they create some fresh air. But in the winter, when we are cold, the same electric energy works in our, what do you call it? Electric stoves, heaters. The same electric energy which creates waves of warm air. So similarly, this verse explains that there is one energy that bewilders the spiritual world in the sense of making people forget that Krishna is supreme, so they can have these relations, very intimate relations, without this wall, without these boundaries of respect and adoration and worship. So one can feel Krishna is my darling son, Krishna is my boyfriend, or Krishna is my friend. So Yoga Maya acts in that way in the spiritual world. And in the material world, Mahamaya works in making us forgetting Krishna and establishing a relation in this material world. So, these are some considerations on this verse. Thank you for your attention. If there is any question or comment, you wanted to say something? Huh? The mic here, the mic here. This Prabhu with the red t-shirt.
Everybody is generally always trying to acquire property.
Trying to?
Acquire property. Property is the goal in life.
Properties.
You talked about Vidura by his attachment to Krishna. He lost all of his properties. He got thrown out of the kingdom and everything was taken away. All he had was his breath. And similarly, we just had Panahanti festival where Raghunath Das Goswami, he had so much property and accumulations, and then by getting involved by his attachment to Lord Chaitanya, to Krishna, he ended up without anything and just eating out of the gutter. So it seems like people getting attached to Krishna, it has a tendency to ruin their life. They lose everything and ended up without having anything. So
you want me to comment on that?
Yeah, it seems like what do they gain? What when they seem to lose everything rather than gaining?
Thank you. So people in this world take shelter in properties, and there is a legitimate aspect to it, especially for grihasthas. Grihasthas means griya stha, to stay in a griya. And so if that griya is yours, certainly it's safer than you are just renting. And sometimes the owner of the house may just tell you to get out. So there is nothing wrong in certain phases of life to have properties. And even great devotees in their grihastha days had properties like land and buildings like that. So there is nothing wrong at a certain phase of life to own some property. Of course, a devotee will own this property knowing that this is Krishna's property and that he is only a caretaker, a temporary caretaker. Krishna gave me this much of its energy, but remains his energy, and I'm a caretaker. The Christians use the expression stewardship. I'm a steward. I'm just taking care. Like Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he was living across the Jalangi River here, and he had a house, he had a large family, he had a position, but he sang, Manaso deho geho yokichu more arpilu tuva pade nanda kishore. Manaso deho geho, my mind, my body, and my house. And the house, not only the bricks, but my family. Yokichu more, whatever it's mine, whatever it's under my control, under my stewardship, Arpilu tuva pade Nanda Kishore. Oh Nanda Kishore, Krishna, I'm offering you to your lotus feet all that is mine. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada explained many times that sannyas, it's a state of consciousness. He said, for instance, that at one point when he saw these grihasthas, ISKCON grihasthas, who were grihastas, they have wife or husband or children, but they were completely dedicated to the mission. So Srila Prabhupada said these are real sannyasis. Whatever they have, they give it to Krishna. At the same time, it's a fact that a devotee may become a little complacent and may become a little bit over-attached to its comfort, to its temporary situation. So in some cases, not always, but in some cases, Krishna makes an arrangement so the devotee detaches himself. We see this, for instance, in the Bhagavatam, in the history of Narada Muni. He was the son of a maidservant, and he didn't really have much. In fact, the only thing he had was his mother. But one night, the mother was bitten by a snake, and Narada Muni found himself completely shelterless, with nothing in this world. Because he was a great devotee, he immediately recognized, oh, this is the mercy of Krishna, who removed my attachment. Same with Vidura. He saw Krishna acting through this politics of Duryodhana. Srila Prabhupada himself gives the example. He had this pharmaceutical business. He had a small production unit, and he was producing medicines. At one point, after many years, he received a telegram that his assistant had stolen everything from his go-down. He lost everything. He lost his complete stock of medicines. And Srila Prabhupada said, he sat down and he started laughing. And remember this verse, Yasyaham anugrinami. Krishna says in the Bhagavatam, when I truly favor a devotee, I take everything away from him or her. So he remembered this principle, that Krishna acts sometimes, not always, as the one who takes away everything, so that the devotee can fully take shelter in Krishna. No more in properties, no more in position, no more on influence, no more on money, no more in his body or in his mind. He or she has to take full shelter of Krishna. But of course, it's not only the devotees who at one point lose everything. Everyone loses everything. At the end of life, everyone in this world loses everything. Sometimes Krishna gives this special mercy that the devotee loses everything before the time of death. So he has a gap of years or months in which he can really feel, okay, I'm completely dependent on you, Krishna. So he can fully prepare for death in a better state of consciousness. Is that okay? Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Prabhu, in the beginning, Lord Krishna imparted full transcendental knowledge to Brahma. In the beginning, Lord Krishna imparted transcendental knowledge to Brahma. Subsequently, it has gone to Narada Muni to Vyasa Muni. So Vyasa Muni compiled all the Bhagavatam, say for example, only Bhagavatam, he has compared Bhagavatam. But though he has compared the Bhagavatam, he expressed that he was not happy. Actually, Vyasa Muni is also an incarnation of the Lord Krishna.
Okay.
Then what is the gap between, then finally he was satisfied when he has written Vedanta. After consultation with Narada Muni, finally has written Vedanta. So actually Lord Krishna is only everything is come from the Lord Krishna only. Then why? What is the gap between the Vedanta and the Bhagavatam?
Okay. Thank you. Okay, two aspects. One, what is the gap between Vedanta and Bhagavatam? The Bhagavatam is considered the natural commentary on Vedanta Sutra, Brahma Sutra. Because Vedanta Sutra is very cryptic, is very terse, is very mysterious, or even ambiguous. In fact, different people came to different conclusions based on Vedanta. That's why Narada Muni tells that you need to describe Krishna more directly. You need to elaborate. You need to put Krishna in front of people. Just like Krishna book. Srila Prabhupada produced Krishna book. Is a summary study of the 10th canto Bhagavatam. And you all know the cover of Krishna book. There is Radha and Krishna. So this is like the completion, the fulfillment of that instruction by Narada Muni to Vyasadeva. Put Krishna in front of people. Krishna as he is. So when you say Krishna book, when you see a Krishna book, you know it's about Krishna. And it's Krishna everywhere. Every page there is Krishna. Now Vedanta Sutra is not like that. It's a very, very indirect text. It doesn't speak about Krishna. In fact, Krishna is not even mentioned as far as I know. So it needed to be unpacked. Great philosophers can understand, but lesser people cannot understand Krishna from Vedanta Sutra. So it's considered the natural commentary, the Bhagavatam, because it's the same author. Vedanta Sutra is by Vyasadeva and Bhagavatam is by Vyasadeva. The other aspect is that you mentioned the Vyasadeva already compiled all the Puranas, and one may ask, well, Puranas include Bhagavata Purana, right? So Bhagavata Purana was already there. This is explained the same chapter, chapter 7 of first canto, is the text number 8, which is the next after the Vyasa's trance. Sa samitam bhagavatim kritva anukramya chatmajam. The great sage Vyasadeva, after compiling the Srimad Bhagavatam and revising it, presented it to Shukadeva Goswami. Kritva Anukramya means there was a Bhagavata Purana, but it was in an embryonic form, was in a small form, not so developed, not so expanded, not so clear. So Vyasadeva took that Bhagavatam and he expanded and it made it more explicit. Kritva Anukramya. It was already in a seed form, but he expanded it. Is that okay?
Doubt, Prabhu. Okay, so Lord Krishna is compiled the Bhagavatam as well as the Vedanta.
Vyasadeva.
But is it the Vishnu or Maya Bhagavati? Is it the Vishnu or Maya Bhagavati? For that is the reason why he has not explicitly given it one stretch and again by Vedanta and again Bhagavatam. 2 times he has repeated the same thing. Of course, he might have given elaborately in the Vedanta, in Bhagavatam. But at one stage, he can write it now. Why again he has given the gap of knowledge?
One meaning, one explanation is that Vyasadeva is also avatar of Krishna, is the compiler avatar. But in all avatars, Krishna in the human form, Krishna takes a guru, right? Lord Chaitanya took a guru, Krishna took Sandipani Muni as a guru, Ramachandra took a guru, and so on. So also Vyasadeva is showing how we need a guru. He might have been already an avatar, but through the mercy of his guru, Narada Muni, then he could go beyond his dissatisfaction. So that's one meaning you can take from that. That even Krishna, when he comes as an avatar, he needs a guru. So that's the meaning for us, the teaching for us. Thank you.
Thank you very
Anything
much.
else?
Thank you very much.
Ah,
Thank you very much.
thank you. Anything else from anyone else? So, we'll stop here. Thank you very much for your attention. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanandi. Thank you.